Hi, I'm Michael Perry, also known as Mr. Plant Geek. I'm here today to run you through the new Crazy Illusions trend. This is from the guys at thejoyofplants.co.uk, and this is the trend for this spring and summer. And basically, it's about breaking all the rules. So Crazy Illusions is about using the shapes that you like, all different colors, kind of blending all sorts of different household items with your vases of flowers or your house plants. It's about mixing up cut flowers with your house plants. It's about putting house plants in unexpected containers, using unexpected colors as well. And I'm going to show you a companion planting today that's really going to hopefully blow your mind, because it's going to show you different ways to mix up your house plants. So you're going to need drainage in your container. So if you're using an outer container that hasn't got drainage, either use that with pots inside so it becomes more of a reservoir, or add some drainage holes, but make sure that you had a saucer at the base, otherwise you'll ruin your sideboard. In terms of compost, always use the best quality compost that you can afford. You can buy special houseplant composts which have got all the right nutrients that your plants need. And in terms of feeding, you need to feed your container during the summer, because plants need that goodness. Remember, these are all plants that are used to being in tropical rainforests and growing in the wild in very different conditions to your house at home. So make sure that you give them that feed at least once a week during the growing period. So I'm going to plant up this really nice bowl container here, which has got a few drainage holes in the base. If you haven't got drainage holes, then you can always add a layer of gravel at the bottom as well, which will assist that drainage. The last thing you want is waterlogging at the bottom, because when you water your plants, it can be difficult to tell when they've got too much water. And to be honest, most people overwater their plants rather than underwater them. And it's much easier to spot a plant that's underwatered than one that's overwatered. So we're going to open up our compost. So this is a houseplant compost, which has got all of the right nutrients for your houseplants. Now, there's a few different ways that you can conserve moisture in your containers. So you can add small pieces of cut up sponge, or some people line their containers with nappies sometimes, because it's got those moisture retentive qualities. But what we've got here today is a brand called Swell Gel, which makes the job all that much easier. So I'm going to fill the container up with compost, just probably about halfway, just to give myself a bit of space to play with in here. So here's our container, but we're going to add a different element to this. So we're actually going to make it into a double container, which is a really, really cool idea. So we've got this raised platform here, which we're going to put in at the back, and make sure that that's firmed in. It's just going to lean towards the back here. So we've got our cone in the center of our container. That's going to give us that raised platform, and it's also give us a different area to grow our plants. So we can have a plant there that has slightly different growing conditions to what you've got in the main container. But the plant I'm going to put in here is probably the star of the show when it comes to the Crazy Illusions trend. And that is a plant called Medanella. Now this is called Medanella Magnificent. And of course, magnificent means magnificent. And it really is. And we're going to slide that into our container really firmly. And if there's any space where we need to fill in with compost, we're going to do that just around the sides. So make sure that you're always filling up lots of little holes, because you don't want any pockets where water could then start to accumulate. Now this plant likes to be in bright indirect light. So what do we mean by that? It means not right by the window, but just away from the window, but somewhere that's still well lit. Next, we're going to go into our Bromeliads. Now, bromeliads are amazing plants. These originate in the rainforest. These have been around since forever, and they were first brought to Europe in the 1700s. So we're going to slide that in around the side to fill the container. So I'm dressing my container from this direction, so I want it to look good when you look at it this way. So just sliding that in, and I'm going to put some extra soil around the back. So we're going to put in a few little plants at the front. Now these are called Photonia. Now Photonia is also known as the mosaic plant, but we've actually got two different types of mosaic plants in the trend. So we've got Photonia, which is the traditional mosaic plant, but we've also got Hypostus, which is the polka dot plant. So we're going to use these in our container at the front, but what I'm going to do is actually take them out of their pots, and to make life easier for myself, I'm actually going to fill in the compost around the containers before I then plant up. And what that actually gives me is the right space to then plant into, but it's so much easier and I can avoid damaging the plants as much as well. So just going to put those pots in first. You'll notice that we've customized this a little bit because the Crazy Illusions trend is not just about unique plants, it's about unique ways of treating your plants. So perhaps you're going to spray paint them, perhaps you're going to adjust them in some way. So it's really about breaking all of those rules, because what you're doing is just flower arranging but with living plants. There we go, so we've got easy space for all of our plants to go in, and I'm going to put in the white one first at the back, making sure my Medanella is safe, and then lift those empty pots out, and then you've got the spaces to then drop your real plants in. So next one I'm going to put in is our cheeky little spray painted blue Photonia. So it's going to be absolutely fine, and when the new leaves grow they won't have that spray paint on, so it doesn't harm the plants. So just going to drop those in here, and we then got our Photonia at the front. But I'm going to mix this up a little bit and use a few cut flowers to finish off the container. So what we've got here is a Celosia, and this is a coxcomb type Celosia. Now I want to use this as a bit of kind of filler, because sometimes you want to cover the surface of the soil in the container, not just because it looks more attractive that way, but also because when you cover the surface of the soil, you keep the moisture locked in as well. So that means less watering, makes life so much easier for you. So whenever you can, make sure that you dress around your plants in order to cover that soil. So I'm going to use the Celosia in the same way that I would something like moss or say decorative items. So I'm just going to slide that in various different ways just between those Photonia plants. So that is our companion planting. So that gives you a container which is kind of really adding that Crazy Illusions blend. So breaking all the rules, just experimenting with color, different shapes as well. So this really isn't about following a certain theme. This is about really relaxing and doing what you want to do. And I think especially at the moment it's nice to have relaxation of any rules around us and kind of really celebrate with plants and flowers in our home. So I hope you've learned some things from our demonstration here today, and this has inspired you to get involved with the Crazy Illusions range. You'll find more information about it on thejoyofplants.co.uk. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you guys soon.